Yo, what's good? It's O.D.D.I.T.Y. Welcome back to another episode of The Craft, where we talk about all things hip hop, experiences, news, discussions, and more. So with that being said, let's get into it.
Some just do it for the cash, others do it for the passion. Is you working on your craft? Is you really about that action? Some just do it for the cash, others do it for the passion. Is you working on your craft? Is you really about that action? The Craft. Welcome.
So when I was growing up, I'm a 90s baby, if that lets you know my age. Rap was seen as a young man's genre, where it was pretty easy to age out. A lot was dictated by the mainstream and the radio, and the music that people wanted to hear was largely rooted in club music, dance music. It's still that way today, but even more so then, where, rappers that once they hit their 30s were considered aged out, irrelevant, too old. And my question is, has that changed? I think, yes, the answer is that it has changed, and a huge reason why, I believe, is the accessibility to artists and to music. Whereas in the 90s, early 2000s, before social media, before smartphones, before everybody had home studios, what you were fed on MTV, BET, on the radio, what you had to go to stores to get music physically. And so what you were fed is what was you were led to believe was right. And now with the accessibility of music and how many people are making music and the ability to reach the audience like that, I think that age has kind of become irrelevant in hip hop. You look at the top artists right now, and Drake and J. Cole and Kendrick, and when Jay-Z drops, it's still a huge thing, even though he's not consistently making music as much. He's still on top. Or Snoop drops, or Juicy J, or these artists that were in the late 90s, early 2000s are still at the top of the game. And I think that's because their music they don't have to make music that appeals to the youth. They can, but they don't have to, and their fans are able to grow up with them and don't have to be looking for what's next. They can continue to make music for their age range. So I think if you look at there's some other rappers, like Future, Logic, Lucas, Eminem, still relevant when he wants to be. And I think that was harder to do in the earlier stages of rap, because it was so focused on what's next. And I will say that I believe that is kind of a positive element of social media and the quick access to music nowadays, is because if you don't like what's on the radio, you don't even have to listen to the radio anymore. You can consume your music so many other ways. And so artists that are hitting their 30s and 40s can still maintain their fan base without having to tap into the mainstream market. I think another really important component to that is that rap is becoming older as a genre. Every decade it becomes older, and so with that, the age range, the demographic is growing of people who grew up listening to rap. You know, in the 80s, it was so new. In the 90s, it was so new that people in their 40s and 50s and 60s, that wasn't a genre that they grew up listening to. So it had no choice but to be a younger genre. And now you have people 30s and 40s and 50s and even 60s who, when they were in their 20s and 30s and teens, grew up with hip hop being a main genre. And so it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool and interesting to look at it that way, because you don't think about it when you think about some of these other genres that have been around longer. And we wonder why, you know, in country music and rock and some of these other genres, why artists can be 40, 50, 60 years old, still making songs, still touring, and making new music, not just going on tour of their, you know, hit smashes. They're still making albums and still having a fan base. And I think we're starting to see that transition in hip hop, where artists can stay where they are and don't have to be 40 years old making club music. You can be 40 years old talking about things that are relevant, and you're going to have 40-year-olds who listen to you when you were both in your 30s, and they're rocking with you no matter what. So, you know, I think that's a really, really cool thing that's happening right now. And I don't know, you guys in the comments below, you know, let me know what you guys think. Is hip hop becoming a genre where age doesn't matter? So appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll be back with more episodes of The Craft. Keep rocking with me.